What if the tool your team needs was just one sentence away? No code, no IT ticket, no waiting. Just describe what you need in plain language, and a real working app appears right inside your workspace in minutes. And here's the thing. What you're watching right now isn't a slideshow, and it isn't the screen of a recording. It's a live nuwacom app. All of it. The headline, the animations, every section was built with the same app builder I'm about to show you. Let me prove it and jump to how it works. See these 4 steps? Describe it, what you build, refine through the chat, ship and share. And it's just not a diagram. On the left, I describe a dashboard, and on the right, the app actually builds itself. So, live in front of you. So yes, this whole explainer itself is a nuwacom app. Quick hello before I dive in. I'm Alex, CTO and co-founder of nuwacom, and I build apps exactly like this all the time. In the next few minutes, I'll take you from a single sentence all the way to a real shipped app, built live with no coding at all. Before we build one, let me just tell you why this even exists. Every team has these tools they wish they had: a little tracker, a calculator, a focus dashboard. The problem is they are too specific to buy off the shelf and too small to justify a whole project with a budget and a 6-week timeline. So they never get built. People make do with spreadsheets and copy-paste, and the actual work gets slower. That's exactly the gap nuwacom apps close. Think of it as a developer on demand. You describe the problem, not the solution, and it builds the tool for you. No wireframe, no specification, no pipeline, no ticketing sitting in someone's backlog. And it's just not one kind of thing. Dashboards, calculators, intake forms, boards, briefings, charts, interactive presentations, 10 different shapes of apps, all from the same chat starting point. Best of all, here's what makes it different from a blank canvas app builder. It doesn't start from nothing. It starts from your actual processes, your data, your governance, your permissions. And it always stays secured in your governed workspace right from the beginning on. So, let's actually build one. I'm going to the chat and I see here a new use case, build app. So now I open the app builder. The first thing I want to do is give the AI something to work with it. And I'm taking the example of attaching here a file. And this is a Lufthansa 2020 annual report right here as a data source. Now, let me just describe what I want to build. So in plain English, I want to have a KPI dashboard showing revenue, passenger numbers, a load factor by year, a trend chart on each, a year filter at the top, and a short AI written summary of what changed. Notice what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. I'm just describing the outcome I want. I'm not picking components, I'm not designing a layout here, and I'm not touching a single setting. So for now, I leave the quality on standard. We have 2 options here: standard for fast and cheaper generation, and it's great for the most apps and edits. And I have the option here high, which is using a stronger model, and then it's good for complex apps and tricky bugs. So now what should build? At this moment, that feels like magic to me, because I'm not building anything. I'm just watching it get built. So it's reading the report, it's planning the app, and it's writing real code. And you can see here each step go by up here. So now it's creating the app and it's loading the right assets. What I did before is actually I created a Lufthansa brand kit skill. And now as I mentioned, the Lufthansa here, it's automatically loading the right skill in order to use the brand kit from Lufthansa. You see it right here. Besides this skill, it's also loading different skills in order to guide the AI through creating dashboards, to create the components here with Schätzchen. It's using the SDK because I wanted to have an AI-written summary of the developments. So it's loading the right skills for this particular task. You see here also that it's setting up the stage, which means it's creating the workspace behind the scenes. It's copying over the information, like here 2 files, to this workspace, and it's creating the files here right in the chat. I can actually click on it, and I see here on the right side a view where I can live see what happens behind the scenes. Now it writes the components, wires the data in, and runs the finished app once it's done. Right here on the right. So you see there's no repository to clone, no build to configure, no pipeline to wait on. You can just, if you're curious, you can flip to the code view here and literally watch writing the files itself, line by line. But here's the whole point. You never have to read any of it. So I'll stay here right here on the app. Because if you're not familiar with code, you don't have to. But you can still. If you're familiar with code, you can dig into the code, check for potential improvements. You can actually reference the code in the chat in order to optimize the code. You can do restructurings, you can do refactorings. You can pretty much everything do when you're familiar coder right here within this view. So I'm just waiting until the app is wired. What you also see on the left, it's creating the preview, and now it's also checking the final design, which is an additional QA agent that checks for visual components, checks whether data is already loaded, and it checks actually also whether the app is accordingly designed towards the brand kit I chose beforehand. It got good feedback from the QA agent. It will add more KPIs, a section banning, a multi-year comparison. Now it's writing some additional steps in order to make the quality round. Let's just wait until the app is ready. In the meantime, you can also click through it. You see here different components. It's created back in the scenes. It's also extracted information from the brand kit with some colors. And it also creating a hook, which actually is using AI features in order to create the summary I prompted at the beginning here. So you see here it's using the SDK, which I will also showcase in some minutes what's possible here. But if you're familiar with it, you see that it's using a completion endpoint at the backend in order to transfer a system prompt, a user content, in order to get a result that is shown in the dashboard. So let us see what is generated. The preview is ready, and you see here a nice dashboard that shows the financial performance of Lufthansa based on the annual report here I attached in the chat. You see here charts. You can actually click through it. You see here the revenue compared to the passengers in the different years. And you can also click through the years to see the highlights on each year. On the bottom, I requested to showcase executive summary. So I click on generate, and now it's creating a summary based on the report with real data, which is really, really nice. It's a simple use case, but it should show you how easy it is to use a data source with a prompt, and it's creating dashboard that is fully interactive, and I can work with it and share it later on with my colleagues. Now, something that's also really interesting. This dashboard reads its data by name, so I can feed its newer data without describing the whole app again. So let me show you how this is done. I go to Sources, hit Add Files. I pick Lufthansa 2025 annual report. The one I originally built was from 2020. So the moment I add it, nuwacom asks one simple question. Where should this go? So I don't re-explain the app, I just say it in one line. Replace the 2020 figures throughout with these 2025 numbers. Keep the exact same layout, cards, charts, just update the data. I hit apply and watch the chat. So now it runs through the changes as a targeted edit on the app I already have, instead of starting over from a blank state. A few seconds later, I will see the same dashboard, the same cards, the same charts, but a whole new year of data. And that's the difference between a real tool and a throwaway mockup. Your 2020 report today, your 2025 figures tomorrow, exact the same app. And this is a really simple example because I'm attaching here static files from my knowledge base. But just imagine you can choose from your, let's say, SharePoint drive or your Google Drive. So you can attach your reports, your Excel files directly from the data sources you're using day to day, attaching them to nuwacom, and the app will live the data, which is a really, really cool use case. So the app is already live, running on its own secure sandbox, and I can use it like any real app. So let me just go you through the workspace once more. This is the preview view, the code view I already showed. Perhaps one thing to mention here, I can reference the files here in the chat. I can change directly my code here when I'm more experienced in coding. I can copy it and I can download it. Next is the sources I already mentioned. You can attach static files from your knowledge base, or you can attach files from your connected sources like Google Drive or SharePoint or other tools you are using day to day. Next is integrations. And this is really interesting because here you can actually integrate your HubSpot, your Google Slack, your Jira, pretty much every tool you're using in your company, and you can actually pull live data and create actions on your sources. I will showcase some of the apps in a few. The last step is to ship it and share it, except there is really nothing to deploy because it's already live. So I just hit share, and I can share it in the same way I'd shared anything else in the workspace, with one person, with a whole group, or with the entire workspace at once. New people came in as a read-only by default, but I can grant access or edit access whenever I want to. The link itself is a 7-day invite for a workspace member, and it's never public while floating around the open internet. And crucially, it inherits the permission and the data access people already have. So someone who can't access or can't see certain data in nuwacom can't suddenly see it through the app either. So sharing an app never widens what people are allowed to see. A couple of nice details: sharing shares of the app, not my building conversation. So, and if the app touches a private connected account, it warns me before it goes out. So the whole loop describing, building, refining, and shipping is just a matter of minutes. So that was one app built end-to-end. But the real story isn't one app, it's how many completely different problems this same approach solves. So let me show you a handful of apps that teams build and actually use every day. First, the executive dashboard. This one pulls our HubSpot pipeline or Jira delivery status and the latest Slack highlights all into one single view. Sales, delivery, and team pulls side by side. So a typical use case for a startup like us. So just let me open this. And you see here, it's pulling data live from the data sources I just mentioned. You can click through the accounts, so data from HubSpot. You can see the pulse from the team, so related Slack messages. You can see all the pipelines with the deal amount, the closing date, the activities. You can see the deliveries here, which means that is actually the data from Jira here, with priorities and SNEs. I can also use AI in order to ask questions about my pipeline. This is the most interesting part because you can actually leverage on AI in order to ask your questions around your customer base. And if you look here at the integration, you see here that Jira is connected, HubSpot, and Slack in order to pull the data. Next one, the inbox helper. This is one of my favorite because here we actually use Gmail for retrieving information from my Gmail inbox as well as from my personal Outlook inbox. And what you see here looks like a familiar inbox tool. You see on the left my emails. You can click through it, and you can actually see here there's an incoming question that asks for data and security, and they're interested in order to get answers to a lot of questions. So typically you would go through your documentation, your trust center, your written Excel files. We have perhaps already created answers, but here we just use AI in order to create an answer. And it's not just AI that plays here into this view. It's also connected to my knowledge base. So it's using my knowledge base I created beforehand here in nuwacom in order to find the right information to answer this question. And this is really powerful because with that you can rely on your own data, your governance, and it's all in a secure environment. And you see, it's based on your knowledge, and it's also created a draft, which I can use in order to send it out to my client. At the bottom, you see which documents are used in order to create the answer. And that are documents that are stored in my knowledge base. So, next one, the meeting briefing. Here, again, I used the chat in order to create an application that uses various integrations. Just to mention here, I never adjusted the configuration by hand. I just used the chat in order to connect them, to configure them. But you still have, as a more experienced person, the ability to change the variables here on the right side, because they are more technical ones, because we are talking here about an API layer that connects to your sources. But you see, Google Calendar is connected, HubSpot is connected, Gmail is connected, Slack is connected, Confluence, Jira, Outlook. So a lot of different sources. What I can actually do here is on the left side, I see my upcoming meetings. So I want to be prepared for my next meeting. So what I'm using here is I'm fetching all my sources I connected in order to get a good brief before the meeting starts. So it's looking for recommended topics. It's looking for watch-outs. It's looking for highlights on my inbox or on HubSpot. And it creates kind of a really good overview on what's going on. And it can still actually use AI in order to ask questions around the next meeting. And this is something that, it's really handy to get prepared for your next schedule. Last one. This is actually a small app that calculates how much your team would save using nuwacom. And it's a really simple calculator, but that are the use cases people will just use without dealing with external integrations, with data sources. It's a really, really simple use case. We have built this calculator. We can just give a company size, the monthly total cost, the manual task per week, and an hourly rate, and it can calculate the return on invest here. And I see, I would save 96,000 here and have a return on invest with 98%. And of course, we use here an AI generated answer. And you see also here, it's using the nuwacom brand kit. So it's applying my brand kit directly within this app. So, but now you might be thinking, this is real code touching real company data, but why should you trust it? So let me show you the architecture, because this is part of where most enterprises care about. So let me just go back to the app I showed you at the beginning. And nuwacom apps is secure as it runs on isolated and own dedicated sandboxes. So it's using its own address. It can't be reached by other apps, and it can't make direct calls out to the open internet. In between the app and your tools sits the platform bridge. Every single piece of data of the app touched is brokered through that bridge. So it never has a direct connection, and the app never once sees your credentials, which is a really important part here. That means no shadow database quietly spinning up on your side and our side, and the app inherits your existing roles and rights. They can only ever narrate what someone sees, never widen it. And honestly, that's the whole difference in one picture. Other tools start from a blank idea or a code base and live somewhere outside your company. nuwacom apps start from your processes and live inside your governed workspace, connected, permissioned, and safe from the very first second. So, one more layer. This one's for the builders and the technical people in the room. Under the hood, every app you create gets a single import that handles its live API. Your knowledge base, live workspace data, persistent state, with no API keys to manage, no cross headaches, no backend to run. So, and I want to prove this is real, not just a slide. I hit run, and right there, an app that creates an API call, creating an answer live right inside this app. And there's a whole service behind it. Text, streaming, endpoints where I can actually put in schemas into it. I can use image capabilities to create images. I can use the Vision API in order to analyze an image that I attached in my app. Or I can pretty much use the agents inside from nuwacom. So whenever you have a good agent, you can use this function in order to call this agent and use it within your app. On the left side, you see also different areas you can use in your app. You can use the knowledge base in order to get information, as I showed you in one of the examples from the inbox. We have here platform features, like also using projects, get information from them, or contact list. And you can actually also use a small persistent state store to set some front-end related states that should be persisted in our backend. The best part, it's the very same SDK you can take beyond the workspace. In the future, you can actually use this SDK to create browser extensions, Office add-ins, backend scripts. So a prototype you build here just by chatting can grow into full production integration with no rewrite. So that's it. That's nuwacom apps. We started with a single sentence. We ended up with a real governed shareable app. that the whole team can use, built in minutes, not months, no coding, no pipeline, no shadow data, just your process described in a plain language, running safely inside your AI operating system. And that's what we mean when we say every team can build, not just the engineers. So go open nuwacom, start the app builder, and describe your very first app. I can't wait to see what you built.